I'm so excited you're here. There's going to be so much good stuff over the course of the next 6 weeks that we're going to be talking about, and you're going to be learning ways to increase sales in your business and build a moving sales machine. But before we do that, I wanted to make sure that we touched on some basics and some foundational training on the moving business, and just some things to make sure that, even if you have years and years of experience, just a reminder, a little refresher of some of the basics, right? Because at the end of the day, we're talking about sales in this program. I mean, we're going to go through everything on how to build a moving sales machine from start to finish, but your customers don't care about that. Right? Your customers, they care about you providing a good service. They care about receiving an accurate estimate. They care about the movers coming out there and treating everything with respect and delivering it from point A to point B in good condition, right? So I just want to make sure we start this off and we remind ourselves that that's really what it's all about, okay? And that's the foundation, right? Because that's the core of your business. And as we get into week 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of Moving Sales Academy, it's going to be all sales, okay? Everything to increase business and book more moves, all right? But I wanted to take some time and do some foundational training to really just, again, maybe you're just starting out. This stuff is important. You can't just go start selling until you have some of this foundational training, all right? So the first video that we're going to talk about is estimating moves, okay? This is so important. I mean, this is really the first thing that your customers are looking for when they reach out to you. When they go to your website, or they submit a request for a lead online, or they call your company, what are they looking for? They're looking for a moving estimate, right? So providing them an accurate estimate is really the first part of you doing a great job for your customer. I'll tell you a story. When I first started my companies, if you don't know my story, I was 19 years old. I worked out of a truck rental yard. I rented 2 rental trucks and basically drove there every morning, dispatched my crews, and then I drove around and tried to round up some business. But during that time, I was I had my company line forwarded to my cell phone, right? And I was providing estimates to whoever called, and I was giving everybody the same estimate, right? It was an hourly rate, and it was 1 truck and 3 men, okay? So no matter how big your home was, I was quoting you 1 truck and 3 men, right? I didn't know how to estimate a move. I really had no idea what I was doing. So, this was okay. I was able to book moves until I started getting calls from my movers that would show up and say, hey, listen, we're going to be here all day. This needs, 2 or 3 trucks. I'd have movers out all day, all night, having to go back the next day to finish up jobs, because everybody that called, I just said, sure, all you need is 3 men, 1 truck. That'll be fine, right? It didn't matter if it was a 1-bedroom apartment or a 12,000 square foot mansion. I just didn't know any better. So, over the years, I realized how important estimating moves is, right? It's really, again, the foundation of what we do. And as I learned that, how to estimate, it's really what allowed me to have more confidence in my business and be able to grow and really take on bigger moves and service my customers correctly, right? And also avoids a lot of complaints, because when you're not estimating correctly, even if you're doing it on an hourly rate, when you tell somebody, hey, listen, I'm going to send you 1 truck, 3 men, and it'll be enough, and they get there and it's not enough, the customer's not satisfied. So providing a good estimate is the first part of you fulfilling your service as a professional moving company. Okay, so I just want to make sure that we go through this wherever you're at. If you're just starting, this will be very useful. If you've been in the business for years, this could be a little refresher for you. So let's just jump into how to estimate a move, okay? First thing you're going to want to do is gather the customer's inventory, all right? All moves are going to be based off of their inventory. Unless you're just giving them an hourly rate, you're going to want to get an inventory from them. So the purpose is to get the weight of the shipment. All right, once you have the weight of the shipment or the move, right? So as you get an inventory and you take all of their items, you're going to be able to calculate that into getting a weight. Well, once you have the weight, then you could determine your price for long distance, and then you could determine how long it's going to take for a local move to be able to quote them hourly, okay? So you're going to pick 1 room to start in always, all right? So when you're doing an inventory, whether you're at their home or whether you're doing it over the phone, always start with one room. I like to start with the master bedroom. It just makes it easy. It's a good place to start. And especially when you're speaking to somebody over the phone, you're guiding them on where to start instead of starting the conversation with, let's go ahead and just talk about what you have. Can you read me off a list of items that you have in your house? You say, you know what, we like to typically start in a master bedroom. Does that work for you? They say yes, and you're guiding them on what to do, right? And this way you always have a starting point. It just makes it easy. Doesn't have to be the master, but I always found that to be a good place to start. So enter the inventory into software or a cube sheet. So when I say inventory, for those of you who don't know, okay, I know most of you do know, that you're talking about every piece of furniture in their home, okay? Every item needs to get entered into the inventory. You need to take an inventory of it. And by using a software is really the best way to do it. All right, so whether you have a handheld device that you're out at their home with, whether you have a software on your computer at the office, doing it over the phone, entering it into the computer is a really good way to keep track of it. But you could still do it with an old school cube sheet, right, which is basically a list of every item that could be in a home. And it tells you the typical cube, how many cubic feet that item is. And you would go through the house or talk to them over the phone and kind of write how many of each piece that they have. And essentially what the estimating softwares are is an electronic version of that cube sheet. Okay, so you're going to want to get an inventory using either software or cube sheet. If you don't have a software now, I'll put some information in the downloads to be able to help guide you in the right direction. Cubic feet times 7 will give you your weight. Okay, so all your software will do this for you, but if you're adding up a cube sheet, you're going to want to take however many cubes everything adds up to, multiply that by 7, and that'll give you your weight, okay, approximately. When you go weigh the truck, it's not going to be exact, but 7 is a really good multiplier. Some do 6, some do 8. I think 7 is right in the middle. It's a good multiplier for figuring out the weight based off cubic feet, okay? Always list your inventory by room. So a lot of softwares that I've seen list the inventory by an alphabetical order, meaning once you take the inventory and then you print it out or email it to the customer, it sends it to them in alphabetical order, right? So meaning first thing on there might be armoire, right? And then maybe boxes. So imagine if you are the customer, right? Because we're going to get to sending the estimate to the customer and making sure that they approve it. But imagine if you receive an estimate and you are told, listen, you need to check the estimate so that we can make sure it's correct. Please make sure everything that I've put on this inventory is accurate. And you get it and you're looking at it and it says, okay, 3 armoires, 25 boxes. How are you supposed to go check that, right? The armoires could be in all different rooms in the house. It's not efficient, and I know a lot of softwares come with the alphabetical inventory, and I think most of them, it's an option. So you should be able to speak to your software company or change the actual function in the software to list it by room, right? Because imagine the reverse scenario, if you receive the inventory as a customer to check it off, or if your mover is showing up to the home to verify everything before they start moving. And now it's listed master bedroom, everything in the master bedroom, right? Living room, everything in the living room. So they could go stand in those rooms. They could go to the master, they could go to the living room and look around and see what's in there and verify that inventory, okay? So I know it seems like a little detail, but it's really important and it makes it very difficult for your customer to verify inventory and also for your movers to verify inventory when they arrive to the job. Always check hidden areas, attic, garage, closets, patio, shed, storage, and under the bed, all right? This is really important when you're given a phone estimate, okay? As you're speaking with the customer, you need to be proactive in your approach and getting an inventory, all right? We're gonna be talking about it in later weeks, the difference between the benefits of giving a phone estimate versus an on-site estimate and some of the different things that you're gonna wanna do. But on a phone estimate, you really want to make sure that you take the lead and guide the customer to check these areas, okay? Because if you're just asking for an inventory and you get to the end of the call and say, you know, okay, great, that's it, and they say, yeah, that's it, chances are they left out a lot of stuff. Not necessarily on purpose, but they just weren't thinking of these areas. But as the professional, you know that these are areas that are commonly forgotten about when given an inventory, so you want to make sure that you're being proactive and guiding the customer for these, all right? Same thing on an onsite. You want to check these spots because, you know, when you go to move everything, if you're missing all of this, it's going to really throw off your estimate, okay? Make sure that the customer understands the importance of having an accurate inventory to be able to give an accurate estimate. Customer needs to understand that your whole estimate that you're giving them is based off of the inventory, okay? And especially if you're doing this over the phone, if you're giving an estimate over the phone and you're gathering an inventory, you need to make it very clear to the customer that we need to know everything that you're moving, okay? Because my estimate is going to be based off of that inventory. And if for some reason we show up and there's more, your price could go up. So we just need to make sure that we get everything. So as we're going through your home, let's just, you know, room by room, let's just account for everything, okay? I've been doing this a long time. I'm here. I'll guide you through it, all right? I'll make sure I remind you about the attic, the garage, the closets, and so forth. But I need to make sure that we get everything, all right? Same thing when you're doing an onsite. Make sure you get everything. Take your time, get an accurate inventory, all right? Without an accurate inventory, you can't get an accurate estimate. Make note of items that have an extra charge. So as you're going through and you notice a piano, safe, hot tub, anything that you charge extra for, make a note of that because you're gonna need to add that on, and we'll talk about that. Also, take an inventory of the items that are not being moved. So if they are guiding you through their home on an onsite, or they're basically talking to you about what they're gonna be moving over the phone, and they tell you that they have, you know, a whole bedroom set that's not gonna be going, you wanna make note of that as well, because when your movers arrive and that bedroom set is still there, you wanna make sure that the customer, you know, with the estimate that you had them sign, agrees that that's not going, okay? So that was the inventory, all right? So that's it. You gather the inventory, and once you've gathered the inventory, your CRM and software, that should do it for you. That should be able to calculate everything for you. And we talked about multiplying the cubic feet by 7 in your software, okay? And again, this is preference. I like multiplying it by 7. Some people do 6, which is, you know, not enough. Some people do 8. And you want to go into the back end of your software and make sure that that's how it's calculating, okay? Then you're going to want to determine boxes, all right? So now you're essentially building out your estimate, right? You've gathered the inventory, okay? So, you know, at that point, you'll pretty much know the weight, all right? But now you're going to add boxes, and you need to determine how many they're going to have. So first thing, do they already know how many boxes they'll have? You know, most times they don't, all right? But if it's a last minute move, if they're already packed, they may have an actual inventory of how many boxes they have if they're ready to go. Chances are they don't, but if they do, you might as well ask, okay? So you're gonna wanna determine the boxes based upon the weight. That's why we do the inventory first, because you're gonna be able to determine how many boxes they're gonna have based upon the inventory, which is gonna give you the weight, okay? So here's the formula. You take the weight, all right, so weight divided by 100 will give you the approximate number of boxes, okay? So weight divided by 100, you get the approximate number of boxes. So an example of that would be 8,000 pound shipment, okay? You basically did your inventory, and your software says it's 8,000 pounds based upon the cubes and the conversion to weight, all right? You're gonna divide that by 100, and that job's gonna have approximately 80 boxes, okay? So that'll give you the total number of boxes, but you're gonna wanna break it down further because, you know, you wanna have an idea. All boxes don't weigh the same when you put them into your inventory. If you are going to be doing packing, you're gonna need more specifics than just 80 boxes because there's a lot of different types of boxes. So here's the formula for breaking down you know, the 80 boxes. And this, essentially, if you had 5,000 pounds it would be 50 boxes. Okay, so the formula, again, whatever the weight is divided by 100 will give you the approximate amount of boxes. All right, it's not an exact science, but this is as close as you could get. So 25% of that 80 will be small 1.5 boxes. All right, so that's out of that 80, 25% will be small 1.5 boxes. So 20 boxes out of the 80 will be small boxes, okay, bulk boxes. 24% will be medium 3.0 boxes. All right, so out of that 80, 19 will be medium boxes. All right, so this is basically how you break down how to determine how many boxes. All right, out of the 80, 18% of 80 will be large boxes. So 14 boxes out of the 80 are going to be large boxes. All right, and this is the formula. Okay, so you have this here. You could use this. I'm going to make sure it's in the downloads for you. If you haven't already downloaded the worksheets and the downloads, do that. Work along, do the work. It's going to really help. You know, if this is new to you and you need to remember this information, it's really going to help you. But you have this. You can come back. You can watch this again. Take notes. All right. 3% will be extra large boxes. All right. So, 6.0 boxes typically aren't really used much on a move. So out of the 80, there'll be 3 of those. All right. 12% will be dish packs. All right. Dish packs, dish barrels, whatever you want to call them. 10 of those out of the 80 are going to be dish packs. Okay. 10% will be mirror cartons. All right. So if they have 8,000 pounds, they're going to have approximately 8 mirror cartons. All right. So pictures and things that you're going to be wrapping and using mirror cartons to do that with. And then 8% wardrobe boxes. So 6 wardrobe boxes for an 8,000 pound shipment. All right. So that's how you determine the boxes. All right. So now you have their inventory, which gave you the weight. You've determined how many boxes that they have. All right. Which is also now going to increase the weight. All right. Because this is going to all go into your inventory as well. Right. Because you are, you got what they have. Right. But now you need to determine on top of their furniture, what are they going to have in boxes, right? So you're going to then add these boxes to the inventory, and whether you are packing for them or they're doing their own packing, you'll note whether it's a carrier pack or an owner packed box. All right, so you got the inventory, you got the boxes. Now you're going to go to additional charges and accessorial charges. All right, so this is whatever you charge extra for. All right, so you've kind of built the foundation, you got the weight, you got the boxes. Now let's add on whatever you're going to charge extra for, okay? Special handling, bulky items, pianos, safes, hot tubs, grandfather clocks, extra stops, long carry, shuttle fees, stairs, elevators. Now, I'm not saying that you should charge for all of this, but these are an example of when you're actually building your estimate out, the order of what you're going to do. So this is when you add whatever you charge extra for, okay? So, for example, if you're doing a, long distance move and you're going to charge for a long carry, all right, that information would need to be in your tariff, but this is where you would go ahead and add that on, all right? If you're doing a local move and there's a long carry, it's up to you if you want to charge extra for that. For me, we just built that into the hourly rate. So this is just, the order of how you're going to build out your estimate, okay? You're going to add packing, box sales, and mattress cartons at this point, all right? So you've gone through their boxes, all right? You've had the conversation with them about whether they are going to be doing their own packing or you're going to be doing packing for them. If they're going to be doing their own packing, are you going to be selling them boxes, okay? This is all in the script, which we're going to get to in week 2. Travel time, trip charge, truck charge, those are typically local moving charges, okay? So you're going to add that in there. Fuel, additional valuation, if you're going to be charging the customer for additional valuation for a higher level of protection than 60 cents per pound, right? So if you're going to actually charge them for that, now be responsible for a higher level of responsibility for the shipment, additional valuation, you would add that in here. Storage, if you're going to be doing storage, you'd add that. So Now you have all your additional charges, right? So now you have everything that you need to start calculating the price. So the first thing you want to do is understand that your price is based upon the weight and the additional charges, right? Essentially, that's what you need. You need the weight and the additional charges. For interstate, you're going to use your tariff to determine pricing, okay? So if you are not doing interstate and you want to get into interstate, I'm going to put some links below so that you can kind of learn a little bit more and understand what's entailed for getting into interstate long distance moving. But you're going to need to charge based on whatever your tariff is, okay? For hourly, use a local pricing chart to determine hours based off the weight. All right, if you don't have a local pricing chart, I'm including one in the downloads for you. It's basically, it'll show if a shipment is 4,000 pounds, this is how many hours it's going to take. If it's 4,000 pounds with stairs at both locations, this is how long it's going to take, right? If it's 8,000 pounds, this is how long it's going to take. So essentially, it's a way for you as you're estimating, and more importantly for your moving consultants, right? Your team as they're doing it, because you might know this stuff, but you have to, train new sales reps and new moving consultants that you get to know this stuff. So when you have that chart, it makes it really simple, because if your software says it's going to be 8,000 pounds, and there's no stairs, first floor to first floor, there's no extra stops, they go to the chart, they see all that, they get how many hours it is, and they can then plug that into the system to build out the estimate. Discounts, right? If you're gonna add any discounts for whatever reason to the move, coupons or senior citizen discount or military discount, whatever you may be giving a discount for, you'll add it in. For long distance interstate moves, it's either going to be a binding or a non-binding estimate. Those are really your options, okay? For local, hourly, binding, flat rate, not to exceed. Check with your state to see what is legal. Hopefully you know what the state moving regulations are, where you are. I'm also going to include some links below so that you could check that out if you haven't already. But you have some more options with local moves typically in most states on how you can charge, all right? So check state regulations. And that's it. I mean, that's how you estimate a move, right? I mean, we're gonna talk about the conversation and how this is just the technical part of being an estimator, okay? This course as a whole is not teaching you how to be an estimator. It's teaching you how to sell more moves, right? How to get on the phone, how to go to a house, how to sell more moves, how to manage all of your leads, how to manage all of your sales reps. But if you don't have the foundation of how to actually be an estimator, because every moving consultant, every salesperson, every sales rep, whatever you call them, needs to be an estimator first before they can be a salesperson, all right? So this is how you do it. Again, we're going to talk about how to build all of this into a script and how to let the conversation flow. So when you're speaking to the customer, this doesn't sound so technical, right? And you're letting it flow with a sales script. But definitely what you need to do is you need to make sure that you're 100% familiar with all laws and regulations for household goods moving, okay? So I'm telling you how to estimate a move. Everything we talk about in this course, make sure that you check with, if you're doing interstate long distance moves, check with the U.S. Department of Transportation. I'm putting links below directly to their site so you could verify all the information we discuss and make sure that it's legal with them, okay? I want to make sure that everything that we do, everything that we talk about in this program, that you check it out, you make sure before you make any choices that it's all legit with them, that you have all the information that you need, and if you're just getting into interstate moves, they'll have everything you need to understand the regulations and the laws and what's required of you, okay? And for local moving, check your county, city, state, household good moving regulations. A lot of times the state has a regulation, then a county might have a regulation, and even cities might have their own regulation, and you need to be aware of all of those. So I'm going to put links to those as well. So make sure that everything that you're doing is all compliant with your local moving regulations, because some states, you're not allowed to just quote somebody an hourly rate for a move, right? And in a lot of these states, I know companies are quoting by an hourly rate, but you're really required in some states, again, there's too many states to go over all the regulations for each one, so I'm just gonna give you the link and you could go check out your state. But a lot of states will require you to give an actual estimate, to send an estimate in writing, okay, to your customers. And that's what we're talking about, is how to do that. Now, we're gonna get into, again, the process of what you send in the email, how you follow up with them after you estimate to close the deal. All right, I'm gonna introduce you to the 5X follow-up and the program that I use to make sure that we get deals closed after we quote somebody. But this is estimating moves, all right? So make sure this is all new to you, study this. Spend a little time studying this, all right? If you just got the program, you have this and you have week 1. Definitely check out week 1, but before week 2 comes, spend some time in the foundation training, just getting yourself familiar, making sure you understand the basics of the moving business. And you know what? If you know all this stuff already, hopefully you got a little reminder or something, a little tip in there just to kind of refresh your memory and make sure that your team is doing it, right? Because a lot of times we know stuff, but it's not always being, practiced in our companies, right? A lot of times things are common sense, but common sense isn't always common practice, all right? So I'm going to see you in the next video. I hope this was helpful for you. Make sure you check out the downloads. Make sure you check out the worksheets and all of the lessons that we're doing. I'll see you in the next video.